Okay, excellent. Yeah, we'll go ahead and get started. So just to summarize a little bit about how the flow of today's event will go, we're going to introduce ourselves and talk a little bit about like the overview and kind of snapshot of Costa Rica. We'll talk about COVID in Costa Rica and what that's looked like and how we can see that playing out in the months to come. And then we'll go over kind of specific destinations and an example itinerary in Costa Rica. We'll talk about the food in Costa Rica and other travel tips. And be sure to stick around to the end because we do have some discounts for upcoming Costa Rica trips, as well as a list of other upcoming events that we'll be hosting and more ways to stay engaged during this time that we're all not able to travel places. So the event will probably go about an hour and 15. We'll try not to go too much over an hour, but there's lots to talk about, so it might be a little more. But you feel free. We'll also be recording the session and sending the link to you afterwards. So if there's anything you missed or you want to review, you'll have the link to the recording. Without further ado, just a reminder to keep yourselves on mute if you're not currently trying to speak up. So we'll go ahead and get started with some introductions. Is everybody able to see the screen share now, hopefully with the PowerPoint? Yeah. Excellent. These are the people that are hosting your event. My name is Laura. I'm the co-owner of Traverse Journeys, which creates a lot of international trips around the world and at the moment, virtual travel events. I'm from the US. I live in Austin, Texas currently. I've lived all over the world, including a few years in Costa Rica. The first time I went there was, I think, 2014. And I've lived there for a few years and been back many times since, and it's definitely one of my favorite places to go. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. Lioba, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hello everyone, I'm Lioba and I am originally from Germany, and I lived in Costa Rica and mainly in Playa Grande for the last 8 years. And I started out working in the hotel industry and the tourism industry. And now since a couple of years, I'm one of those lucky people who work remotely, so I can work from everywhere. But I'm still here because I just think this is the best place to be. And yeah, this is where I met Laura a couple of years ago, also Marco. And yeah, hopefully you can come one day and see it.
Excellent. Marco, how about yourself?
Hey guys, everybody. My name is Marco. I own and operate my own travel company here called Tuanis Adventures. So you could, it's spelled Tuanis, and you can find that on Instagram and Facebook, Tuanis Adventures, as well as I work here in the Tamarindo and Playa Grande areas as a real estate agent with Keller Williams. So you could find me through Keller Williams too. And I have been living and working in this area for 4 years. Previously, I was in Manuel Antonio. I'm a Costa Rican American. Both my parents are from Costa Rica, but I was raised in Arizona. But I've been coming to Costa Rica, living and working pretty much my entire life. So I love to show people around and spread the Pura Vida. It's my favorite thing to do, and it's my favorite place to be. So I'm happy to share some information with you guys today.
Awesome. Excellent. Yeah. So thanks, Leo and Marco, for joining us. And Leo and Marco also, have worked with Traverse Journeys in the past with our itineraries and our guests. So there's a good chance that you'll meet them if you join us in person. All right. So I'm just gonna go over a little bit about Traverse Journeys so you have that overview before we dive in. So we are a small group travel company. We cultivate experiences across the globe in over 25 countries. And we do that with sort of a mission or values tagline of people, planet, and purpose. And what that means to us, for people, is that we create like people-to-people experiences focused on like engaging with local communities. We go places where tourism income opportunities are desired and where we can find impactful ways to learn about local culture. And planet to us is about visiting, of course, incredible, beautiful places all around the world. And, you know, making sure that we, you know, do no harm as we do that. We stay in places that demonstrate eco-friendly practices, and we eat local and organic food as much as possible, looking for partners and experiences that support conservation and sustainable agriculture. And purpose to us is about providing travel that allows individuals to grow and learn through the engagement and the experiences. And as well, each of our itineraries and our trips, we partner with a local NGO organization. And we spend a few hours at some time during the itinerary visiting our community partner and learning about what they do. We also donate a portion of the sales for that trip to the local NGO, which is often just a really great way to really engage and learn about interesting aspects of the culture and issues that are being, you know, addressed by the organization. So it's a little bit about Traverse Journeys, and I'm going to hand it off now to, I believe, Margaret, you were going to give us a little snapshot of Costa Rica.
There was a question in the chat if you guys do trips to Cuba, and I know that you did. I'm not sure if there's anything planned.
Yes, we do. We do have an itinerary in Cuba, and we usually have a few dates each year for that itinerary. So you can find out all about it on the website, Traverse Journeys.
Awesome, cool. So just a little bit of a quick early look into Costa Rica. Costa Rica is a Central American country here. From 1200 to 1500 is when early indigenous peoples obviously are reported to. Within this area, not obviously, but have been. And Costa Rica, for Colombian, was ruled by chieftains, or how we call them, casigascos and señorios. And that was probably from the ages around 800 AD to about 1500 AD. And then that is when 1502 is when Columbus first landed in Costa Rica. And so that usually, or that was about, I would say, 70 to 100 years of pretty much, you know, a co-sharing of Costa Rica, and then what eventually became, you know, a Spanish overtaking of Costa Rica. And that was pretty much the last of the indigenous communities that were recorded in Costa Rica. There were originally about 15 to 20 tribes in Casigascos and señorios. Those were spread out through the entire Pacific Northwest, Central, and South. The primary and strongest, which is Nicoya, which is with the province that me and Leobia live in currently. They were one of the strongest and largest tribes in Costa Rica. And so the age of conquest, Spanish rule, subjugation came around 1570. Like I said, there was said to be around 400,000 to rumored 1 million Costa Rican Indians that were living in the country before Columbus. And then about right around early 1600s, there was down to 10,000 people left. That was mainly due to war and sickness brought on by the Spanish. And so that is like a quick look of the early history of Costa Rica. But since then, Costa Rica is obviously flourished as a country that has many exports, and tourism is one of the strongest industries in the country. You know, if you know Costa Rica, they excel in cocoa, cacao, coffee, banana, pineapple, and those are the major exports of the country. And we are also very proud to say that we have no standing army, which has been since 1948. So that's probably a good, I guess, a good little insight into Costa Rica. You know, the Costa Rican people are known to be very pura vida. We're located in a blue zone. And so if you know anything about the blue zones, it means that, you know, Costa Rica is one of the countries with the largest amount of centenarians in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we'll get into the culture and more about that as well coming up. Just a reminder to kind of bear with us if there's any internet issues. Sometimes that's happening these days with lots of people on Zoom. So nothing should last for too long if you're experiencing any of that. So let's go ahead and move on to talking about present day Costa Rica and what's going on with the COVID-19 situation there. Leo, do you want to start?
Yeah, so I think compared to other countries in Central America and worldwide, Costa Rica had very little COVID cases. I just checked before getting into the meeting, and we are currently at 1,100 confirmed cases in the entire country, and of those only around 360 are active cases. So I think compared to a lot of other countries, that is very little. And we do experience some restrictions here. There are some driving restrictions. There is a curfew that starts during the week at 10 p.m. at night. But in general, I am so grateful to be here in Costa Rica through this COVID times. I think as a lot of expats, there was a moment of thinking about, okay, what should I do? Should I leave? Should I stay? Where should I go? But yeah, I'm so happy with my decision to stay here. They just reopened the beaches again. They reopened the national parks again. The borders are currently still closed so far until June 30th. There's no international travel, but the government is starting to, I don't know if encourage is the right word yet, but with the reopening of the beaches and the national parks, they're trying to encourage local people to go again and to travel in the country. Hotels are allowed to open again with 50% of their capacity.
Yes.
What I think is great with only 300 active cases in the country, I feel definitely very comfortable with that.
I think I agree with Leoba. I think it's not that we're encouraging travel now, but now we're switching to a model of burbujas. In Spanish, it's like bubbles. So they're encouraging people to move in your small immediate groups. And so keeping all the sanitary measures in place, they are encouraging people to, you know, try and go about their normal lives a little bit more within small immediate groups. And I think the plan will most likely move into domestic tourism for the next few months, and then see how it goes with opening internationally, maybe in early July. And so I think as far as Leova said, Costa Rica handled this great. Costa Rica was very quick to respond. March 5th was the first reported case of COVID-19 in Costa Rica, and we had a full travel advisory and subsequent shutdown 10 days later. And so
yeah, I think the borders did close on March 18th, what was very fast. And I think a lot of us were positively surprised by how quick they reacted to the situation.
Costa Rica took it very seriously. Obviously, we're known for having some of the longest living people in the world, the centenarians. So people and family is such an important part of the culture in Costa Rica. So I think they took this serious from the get-go, and you know, they've been very conservative and very I guess protective as far as controlling travel, controlling anything that they can at the moment to remove people from getting too close to each other and keeping good sanitary measures. So they've done a great job. I'm very pleased with what they're doing.
Except for the part where you couldn't surf for 2 months, right?
Hey, my biggest complaint is not being able to surf. My biggest complaint is not being able to surf, but you know, I understand why. You know, we had to shut down the beaches to prevent people from the cities to come and use it as an excuse to vacation. So I completely understand the reasoning behind it, and I think Costa Rica responded really well. And so we're all happy that now we have such few cases that we are slowly opening up the businesses, and we're hoping to welcome tourism back here at full capacity before the end of the year. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's impressive to see how proactive that they were, and you know, they'll definitely be reaping the benefits of that soon.
I think it also should be said that there were a lot of initiatives, and the government took really good care of their people, because tourism is the main income for a lot of people, and yeah, no one really was left
I think
behind.
that's a great point. Absolutely, Leo. It's you know, I mean, this is hard for everyone worldwide, and you know, there's a lot of have-nots in Costa Rica. There's a lot of people that live below the poverty line, and so I think our communities have done an amazing job to step up and create food banks, create drop-off centers, and create a streamlined way for people to go out and help, but still respect the measures.
Yeah. And beyond the government's, you know, participation in that, I've also seen, you know, just a lot of like local communities coming together, like in Playa Grande. I know there were people that were, you know, doing food runs and contributing in any way they could, which is
absolutely
great.
Absolutely. We all had to step up in some way.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, well, moving on to brighter futures, hopefully coming our way. Let's chat about what Costa Rica is known for. So when you're, you know, dreaming of and planning your Costa Rica vacation, chances are you'll be thinking about the incredible nature in Costa Rica. There's a lot of adventure activities that Costa Rica is known for. I will go into both of those topics a little bit more, as well as all the eco-friendly practices that Costa Rica is known for. As Marco mentioned before, there's this sort of unofficial motto of Costa Rica, Pura Vida, which translates to pure life. And that, again, we'll go into a little bit more detail later, but essentially it creates a very sort of symbiotic culture, a very healthy culture as well. Like Marco mentioned, there's a blue zone, one of the few blue zones in the world, which is a place where people have the longest life expectancy, is in the Nicoya Peninsula in Costa Rica, which is where Leo and Marco both live. So hopefully they'll be living long lives themselves. And happiness too. If anybody's familiar with the Happy Planet Index, it's sort of a global study that was done that took into account quite a few factors like well-being, life expectancy, equality, as well as the ecological footprint. And of the 4 years that this survey and research has been done, Costa Rica has topped the list 3 of those times. So we're doing something right for sure when it comes to creating a good quality of life in Costa Rica. So talking specifically about the nature in Costa Rica, I mean, we could go on about this topic for an hour in and of itself, I'm sure. Some of the things in the natural landscape of Costa Rica that are unique and that Costa Rica is well known for are the rainforests. And you know, 53% of the country is covered in forests, and that's partly due to the work they've done to sort of reverse the effects of deforestation that happened previously. About a quarter of the country's land is protected parks and reserves. Wildlife, Costa Rica is one of the most biodiverse places in the world. There's over 500,000 animal and plant species that have been documented. In fact, it was even called the most biologically intense place on Earth by National Geographic. So definitely they can stick that feather in their cap. Beaches, Costa Rica has 2 coasts, all along the Caribbean coast and the Pacific coast. So there's miles and miles of coastline, over 1,200 kilometers of coast. You could even, it's possible in Costa Rica to watch the sunrise over the Caribbean and, you know, make your way over to the West Coast during the day and watch the sunset over the Pacific. So quite a unique aspect of Costa Rican geography. There's over 121 volcanoes in Costa Rica. 7 of them are active, which, you know, means that there's been some activity over the last while. Thankfully, no massive eruptions of late. And of course, where there's volcanoes, there's lots of hot springs as well, created by all that geothermal activity. So it's a great way to relax and enjoy the scenery. And there's also a plethora of gorgeous waterfalls found throughout Costa Rica. A few of them off the top of my head: Llanos de Cortez, La Fortuna, Montezuma waterfall. Yeah, any others that you guys would add?
The one at Dominical, I just forgot what it's called. The very big one.
Yeah, it's gorgeous, definitely. Did you guys want to add anything about the nature in Costa Rica?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely add that there is so much wildlife here. I'm very fortunate with my work situation, so I do a lot of traveling in Central America and South America, and I'm really like blown away by how much wildlife is here. Even where we live, it is a national park, though, but there are a lot of people here, and still on a regular basis. Like, I wish there were monkeys out of my window right now so you could hear them. It's so often that there's monkeys right in front of my window. We see pisotes every day, monkeys, anteaters, turtles. Playa Grande is known for the leatherback turtles, what is the largest turtle species in the world. And yeah, you really, like, if you come here, you will see wildlife. It's impossible to leave here without having seen any wildlife. And I have not experienced that in any other countries like I do in Costa Rica, almost on a daily basis.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's pretty incredible that way. Marco, what kinds of wildlife encounters have you had?
Marco is muted.
Oh, Marco, did you mute yourself or somehow get muted?
Still muted.
Am I back?
Yes, you're back.
Okay, cool. No, Costa Rica is beautiful, obviously, and there's wildlife everywhere. I was just speaking with my friend not too long ago about a trip to the Osa Peninsula, in which we went to a popular surf break off of the Osa Peninsula, and within the first 24 hours, I'd probably seen at least a dozen animal species that I don't even see here in Guanacaste. So I saw a capybara, I saw an anteater, I saw scarlet macaws, toucans, I saw what do they call it? The pisotes, right? And I saw pretty much, I mean, like I said, close to a dozen different species of animals in 24-hour period.
Yeah, I mean, and yeah, that's not uncommon in certain areas of Costa Rica, for sure. I mean, Guanacaste has its own diversity, but then, yeah, there are places where it's just teeming with wildlife. I remember when I lived in Monteverde, which is in kind of the central cloud forest region. I lived there for several months, and it seemed like, you know, every single day that I lived there, I would see at least one thing that I hadn't seen before.
It's always fun to spot new animals.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's good to keep your eyes peeled too, because sometimes it's, you know, it's not always like big monkeys, you know, sloths or whatever. There's little, you know,
tiny colorful frogs
And
insects,
snakes.
birds.
and snakes.
Yeah.
Hey,
Excellent.
Laura, there is a question or a comment from Kim in the chat. I'm not sure if you're unable to
Yeah, I
unmute
see that.
her.
I'm not sure, Kim, if you have a question, it's probably best just to type it into the chat, and you know, go ahead and like keep yourself muted for now until we get to the Q&A sort of section towards the latter half. So moving on, we've kind of already talked a little bit about natural beauty, but I just wanted to check in with Marco and Leoba, and let's just all kind of talk about some of our favorite places in Costa Rica for nature and natural beauty.
Go ahead, Leo.
Oh God, I don't even know. I mean, obviously I like Playa Grande. That's why I live here. It's so beautiful. The beach is gorgeous. You can, even in high season when there are a lot of people, you will be able to walk for 30 minutes and to find a completely secluded area where you're completely by yourself. And it's so pretty. And then I do also really like the mountains. I love the Arenal area. I'm actually thinking about going there very soon on a little trip, because the forest there, it's so beautiful, and you can see the volcano, and it really is a volcano that it looks like it's painted. It looks unreal. That's how pretty it is. So yeah, I think those are two of my favorite locations. And a little bit more off the grid is the Osa Peninsula. If you go towards Corcovado National Park, it is a little harder to get there. It's really hard to get in and out there. But once you're there, it's so beautiful. And what we just talked about before, the wildlife, the amount of wildlife you can see there in just, I don't know, 24 or 48 hours, it's mind blowing. And there you have the beach, you have the mountains, and yeah, it's really beautiful.
And Marco?
Yeah, I agree with everything that Leoba said. Arenal is probably one of the most popular destinations that you could visit in Costa Rica, but rightfully so. The volcano and the view is just absolutely amazing. So it's worth seeing. Also, like I said, I'm a big surfer. So for me, I love to travel to different beaches across Costa Rica. I've visited, I would say, maybe around 30 to 40 beaches easily, different beaches in Costa Rica, probably more around 50. But I love them. I love the beaches in the Caribbean. I love the North Caribbean, the South Caribbean, and then the Osa Peninsula, like I just mentioned before. I mean, the Corcovado National Park and Osa Peninsula has 2% of the biodiversity of the entire world, and it has world-class surfing, and the beaches look amazing. But I mean, I am partial to Guanacaste, where me and Leoba live, just because it's known as the Gold Coast of Costa Rica, and there's just gorgeous coastline all the way down. And so I travel to different beaches regularly just to go surf and enjoy. Some places, I think I saw a comment on the chat about mountain areas. So, you know, some place that I don't think people commonly visit in Costa Rica, unless you're a big fan of going to like a little bit of a colder mountain place in Costa Rica, because it is higher altitude, is an area called Los Santos. It's called Los Santos because all the names of the towns are named after different saints. So there's Santa Maria de Dota, there's San Pedro, there's Santa Maria, and there's all sorts of different beautiful towns up there that are just beautiful, quaint Costa Rican, you know, traditional. And it's also known as some of the very most fertile land in Costa Rica. So that's where you're going to find some of the best coffee.
Yes. We'll get more into that too.
Yeah.
And I think it also, I don't even know, Laura, if we have like a section where we bring that up. I just want to add that it is incredible safe.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about that for sure.
Okay.
Talk about safety. Yeah. But no, I mean, definitely it is a very safe country for travel. So.
Yes. And I go on beach walks or on hikes by myself, and I have no worries or issues.
Excellent. So adventurous activities. Costa Rica is definitely a hot spot for all kinds of outdoor adventures. Zip lining, canopy tours and zip lining was invented in Costa Rica. A little claim to fame that they like to point out. And that's, you know, that's a start of some of the activities you can do in Costa Rica. So I'll turn it over to Marco and Leo to talk a little bit about some of their favorite activities.
You want to go first, Leo?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I love to do a lot of hiking, what you can do pretty much everywhere here. There's so many trails that you can enter. There's a lot of free trails, and there are a lot of trails in the national parks where you can go hiking either by yourself in a group, or you can go there by yourself and then get a guide if you like to do that. There's kayaking either on rivers or in the ocean. What is so nice, and as I said before, you will almost always see animals. Like we've seen dolphins, crocodiles, whales, almost on every trip really that we did. And then there is a lot of waterfall tourism, as we talked before. There's a lot of cliff jumping that you can do. Yeah. What else?
Have you ever done any of the whitewater rafting?
Yes, I did actually. Whitewater rafting. What is great is it's.
You can do 7-day trips down the Sarapiquí River, which I've only done a few days. I haven't done the full river, but I mean, from anybody that's ever told me, the full river trip is just another experience. Because you're camping along the river all the way down for days. And so that's just, and you're seeing stuff that you just can't get to by vehicle. So that's something that for the real adventurous river rafter, it's something that will blow your mind. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But adventures and activities, I could tell you that with my company here in Guanacaste and the Tamarindo, Playa Grande areas, I mean, normally I deal with people with around a 7 to 10 day itinerary. So they try and jam a lot in within a short amount of time. And so, I mean, I would say the most popular tours here locally are going to be a sunset catamaran cruise, because, you know, people love to go out on a boat, go snorkel, take a tour of the coastline. That's always something very fun. It's not too physical. But if you are more of an active traveler, you can go on what we call an all-day adventure tour to a local volcanic park called Rincón de la Vieja. And there you can do horseback riding, zip lining. You go down like a tube or a kayak down a small river, and you get fed a buffet. And then at the end of the day, you can relax in a thermal pool and put some old volcanic mud on you. That's I would say that's by far the crowd pleaser tour of any guest that comes by, because it covers everything in one day.
It's so great.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've gone over most of it. There's also horseback riding. There's deep sea fishing. You can scuba dive in Costa Rica. It's not really known for its scuba diving, but there are some places that have good scuba diving. How is the snorkeling? Yeah, I mean,
snorkeling is great.
It's great.
Yeah, it just depends how serious you are. Locally here, there's an island chain called Las Catalinas, where you can take a boat trip out to and go snorkel half day, full day, whatever you like. If you're more a serious scuba diver, and usually, like for the most serious of serious places, there's a absolutely unique island of Costa Rica called Coco Island. And that is for a long trip where you're doing multiple days of dives, because it takes you a full day on boat just to get there. So that's for the serious diver, but I believe it was used for filming of Jurassic Park back in the original Jurassic Park days.
Nice. Does the snorkeling in Costa Rica compare to Hawaii? I've snorkeled in both places, and you know, I think it's just different. Like you'll see different things in Costa Rica. I mean, certainly there's some coral in Hawaii that are just like incredibly abundant. But I'm never disappointed when I go snorkeling in Costa Rica.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that Costa Rica, for the most part, is known as like a world class snorkeling or scuba dive destination. But there or like I said, the Las Catalinas Island, you catch it on a great day. It's all rock reef. It's beautiful, and you can see a lot. You can see a lot of fish species. You can see some reef shark. You can see gigantic manta rays. I've had that happen to me where you're surrounded by a school of gigantic mantas, and I mean that's a very awesome experience.
Yeah, for sure. And sea turtles.
The sea turtles everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, when you do the sunset catamaran, sailing tour, you'll usually be with a guide in the water when you're doing the snorkeling, and so they're really good at finding and spotting all kinds of things that you might miss. So they'll find octopus and other cool things and try and point those out. All right. Cool. So moving on, talking a little bit about the culture and the people of Costa Rica, whether it's Pura Vida or, kind of the aspects of family and work and politics in Costa Rica, as well as the kind of unique parts of the Guanacaste culture. Marco, you want to start us off?
Absolutely. Pura Vida. Costa Rica is obviously a very happy culture, and I think the reason behind that is just they're tied to nature. They're tied to familial belonging. And in Costa Rica, communities here have lived in communities where neighbors or family members own properties next door, and so it's very tight knit. And the Pura Vida, it means pure life. It's our version of saying hello and goodbye. You can say it for everything.
Yeah, it's used for just about everything.
Yeah. And you can also, like I said, my company is 20s Adventures. We say 20s a lot, and it's the same thing. It's like saying very cool, very nice, and you can use it for hello. You can use it for goodbye. And that's derivative of Costa Rican dialect or slang that, every culture has its own different way they like to speak the language. In Costa Rica, we call it pachuco. And so, I mean, you can it's a dictionary-sized book if you ever wanted to learn pachuco Spanish, but you can definitely go ahead and try once you come in and enjoy the country. But the people, like I said, and my family, I have family in all parts of Costa Rica. I have family in the jungles of the Caribbean, North Caribbean. I have family in San Jose, and I have family all over, and they're always super welcoming. They all have their ways of showing gratitude and respect, and that's usually by feeding people and usually having a lot of gatherings with local neighbors, and that's just a common activity in Costa Rica. And so I speak to the Costa Rican culture as they're very they're not confrontational people. They're very relaxed. There's a saying here called Tico time, and that is because Costa Ricans show up when they can. They're maybe not the most punctual of people, but that's just because they're so relaxed and they just go with the flow. And so that's how I like to kind of summarize a little bit about what Costa Ricans are all about.
And Tico is a word for a local Costa Rican.
I'm sorry, I'm so used to
one of the many slang.
Sometimes I forget to explain that. Tico is what we call Costa Ricans.
Yeah. So in terms of some of the questions, so pictures, yes, there are definitely a scattering of pictures that you'll see in the slides here. And, obviously, we're talking about so many places. We can't have a picture for every single place we're mentioning, but throughout the slides, hopefully you'll see lots of different areas. And, of course, if you have any specific questions about anything we've talked about, we will be having like a Q&A portion. So feel free to save those questions and we'll address them specifically. Cool. So moving on, we're going to kind of take a little virtual trip around some areas of Costa Rica. And this is kind of going to mirror some of the destinations and the route that we go when we take our small groups around Costa Rica. So here's a map. I know someone was asking about a map. So San Jose, you can see here, the capital of Costa Rica, and the main airport of Costa Rica, which is just outside of San Jose in Alajuela. And then just FYI too, the other main airport that many international arrivals fly to is Liberia Airport, which is over here. So for our itinerary, for example, we have guests fly into San Jose and then depart from Liberia so that you can kind of make your way across and not have to backtrack. So there are a few places that we go. From San Jose, we go up into the Arenal area, which is here, letter B. So that's about a 3.5 hour drive there. And then from there, we kind of skirt along. You can't see it too much, but there's a massive lake here called Lake Arenal. We skirt along the shores of that and go up to Tenorio National Park, where Rio Celeste is, which is something we'll talk about a little bit more. We stay, and each of these places we stay for 2 nights. So 2 nights near Arenal, 2 nights near Rio Celeste, and then we snake down over to the Pacific coast where Leo and Marco live in Playa Grande, and we stay 2 nights there on the beach. And then, so that's the sort of Pura Vida adventure itinerary that we offer, 2 nights in 3 different places. And then we also have other itineraries that solely are focused in Playa Grande because it's just, you know, such a fantastic little spot. So there's a short little beach getaway that we offer in Playa Grande, and also a surf and yoga retreat for the ladies out there in Playa Grande. So all of our trips, they all incorporate boutique, eco-friendly accommodations. All your in-country transportation is included, arranged. You'll have local hosts. You'll have guided walks with, you know, expert sort of botanists or wildlife experts in different parts of the country. Daily breakfasts and other gourmet meals, lunches and dinners that are included, and kind of try and give you an overview of the culinary delights. And because all of our itineraries end up with some time in Playa Grande, there's always going to be beach time where you can surf or kayak or hike or do all sorts of fun things on the beach. And the community partner aspect that we incorporate into all of our itineraries. And I know there was a question in the chat. All of these itineraries are in small groups. So typically, you know, minimum of around 6 people. And then some of them cap out at 12 people, to 16 max for the retreat. So our 3 itineraries, there's a little bit more information here just in terms of the activities that are part of each of these trips. So we've talked a little bit about the zip lining and the sailing tour with snorkeling. We'll also go on wildlife and nature walks. Nighttime hikes is something that we haven't mentioned, which is, you know, when you're in the jungle and rainforest regions, going on a guided nighttime hike is often a really great way to see lots of wildlife, because the majority of the wildlife is actually nocturnal. So it'll be kind of coming alive, and going with a guide will really help you with a lot of cool stuff. We'll visit coffee and cacao farms, which are 2 incredible sort of, you know, homegrown things in Costa Rica, and they're quite tied. Coffee especially is quite tied into the history of Costa Rica, so you'll learn a lot about that. And then, of course, the surf and yoga retreat, you'll have daily yoga and surf lessons, and other video coaching, sort of photo session, and arts and crafts day as well. So the Arenal volcano area, let's talk a little bit about this specifically. Leo, I know it's one of your favorite areas. You want to start us off?
Oh God, yes. So the volcano became super famous because the way that it is shaped, and it used to be active. It is dormant now, but when it was active until 2012, you could even see the lava tripling over. And I think that is one of the most famous volcano images. If you Google volcano in Costa Rica, you will definitely see a picture of that. And there are quite a few national parks in the Arenal area where you can go hiking and see the wildlife. You can see, usually when I'm there, you will see sloths, you will see a lot of frogs, you might see some snakes. People are in general always very scared of snakes. Every time I see one, I'm like, ooh, we're so lucky, we saw a snake. It's not that they come after you. And the boutique hotel where you guys will be staying, I think Laura can say a little bit more to that, but it's nestled into the mountains, and there's a possibility to do yoga on a yoga platform and do hiking trails on the property, I think. Laura, correct me?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'll talk
Yeah.
about recommendations. Leo, do you know, so a lot of big popular thing in Arenal is doing the hike up the volcano, right?
Yes, you can actually do not hike up the Arenal volcano. You can go close and go walk around in one of the lava fields from when it last erupted. But there is another volcano right next to it, and I just do not remember the name right now, but you can hike up there, which is a really nice, like 4.5-hour hike, where you can see the crater lake. And then there also is the La Fortuna waterfall, what is very famous because it's just so beautiful. It's also just looks like a painting where you can go to and visit. And you can hike around in that area, and you can go and swim in the river, which is really nice.
I think you were looking for Cerro Chato, Leola.
Yes, exactly. That's what it's called.
Cerro Chato.
And just to set people's expectations about Arenal, you should also know that a lot of the time the volcano is covered in clouds, and you won't necessarily see the...
But usually it comes and shows itself at least once a day.
Yes, exactly. But just, you know, don't plan your whole trip around getting the perfect photo of Arenal.
You will most likely get one.
Yeah, it's
other things to do in the area.
It's like hitting the lottery sometimes.
Yeah, and
But it's
Arenal
beautiful.
also is really well known for all the hot springs. Did you already see
Yes.
that?
There's a lot of hot springs in the area. There are either just public hot springs where you can go, you do not have to pay anything, and you can just go and hang out. And then there are some resorts that are built around the hot springs, and you can buy a day pass, and they're really nice. They have swim up bars, they have water slides, they have waterfalls, they have all kind of different temperate, how do you say that? Pools?
Temperature, yeah.
Yes, different temperature pools. It's really cool. But also even the public hot springs that are for free are really nice. It's so pretty.
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely a great area to spend a couple of days. Just real quick, this is the boutique, the Eco Lodge that we stay at near Arenal, and it's off the grid. It's a sustainable ranch, and you know you get this incredible sort of living in nature experience, and you know they've got all kinds of great activities and things to do in the area. So definitely easy to fill a couple days there. We're going to keep moving a little quickly. Marco, do you want to talk a little bit about Rio Celeste area?
I mean, I think Rio Celeste is probably, I mean, if you were to rank it amongst all the national parks in the area, I think it's probably the most scenic as far as the water goes. It's absolutely stunning. It's the entire hike is, you're pretty much looking at just unreal blue waters, and there's also, I believe, some fumaroles there that you can look at because it's thermal region as well. But I think it's an absolutely amazing region to know Rio, not just because of the national park and Rio Celeste, but I mean just that entire area. It just looks pretty gorgeous. Like as far as the hike goes, I don't think it's that long for me is going to water because it's pretty too high, can't jump.
For me at least, you did cut out pretty much all the way. I think you were talking about the hike.
Sorry.
So I'm
Can you
just
hear me better now? Okay.
Yes, I do. Do you want to repeat what you just said about the hiking there?
Sure. Like I said, I think it's probably one of the most beautiful hikes that you can take in Costa Rica, because you're following along a river of absolutely clear blue water, and the waterfall is absolutely amazing. It's just it looks like you're in another planet in that park, because not just the hike to the water and the waterfall, but the surrounding area is super green, super lush, and has rolling hills as far as the eye can see. So it's gorgeous. I love taking people to Tenorio.
And what is also nice is that you can, if you go into the park, you can choose if you want to actually go on a bigger hike, what will take you 2 to 3 hours, or if you just want to walk down to the waterfalls, what you can see in the picture, and that will take you, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes to get there. So if you're not super active, or if you do not want to spend 2 or 3 hours of your day hiking, you can just go and see the main attraction in like 30 minutes.
Yeah, correct. You can go straight to the waterfall, or you can take a long wrapping hike. Absolutely. And it's beautiful as well. There's thermal pools nearby, and there's also other little waterfalls and little public areas that you can enjoy in Tenorio. Not many people like to spend a night there, but I think it's definitely, if you have the time, it's worth kind of exploring a little bit more the Tenorio National Park area.
Excellent. All right. And just real quick, one of the great places that we love near Rio Celeste is another beautiful eco lodge. They've got all this incredible nature like incorporated into their design inside and out. And also they're really well known for the meals that they provide, the dinners and lunch. It's just really incredible. They do a great fusion of like local Costa Rican flavors and dishes with sort of global influences and flavors.
It's a French man who runs the kitchen, so he makes excellent food.
Yeah, excellent. So moving on to Playa Grande. Anything else to add other than what we've kind of already mentioned about Playa Grande?
Just go look at it. It's just amazing. It's amazing to see.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we mentioned that it's part of Las Balas National Park, so it's all protected area. There's no development or buildings right on the beach, so you have a really like pristine, long stretch of sand that is just unique in that it doesn't have any development.
Playa Grande. Oh, okay. We moved on to Playa Grande now. We both live there, so we're absolutely we can swear by Playa Grande. Yeah. It's a beautiful national park. I mean, it's one of the only national parks in all of Costa Rica where there's actual residential and commercial properties on the national park, and that's because it was declared a national park after construction already began in properties in the early 1990s. So you can actually live within a national park. It's Las Balas National Park, which is the leatherback turtle. It is a nesting ground for those turtles. Unfortunately, due to overfishing, climate change, all sorts of different conditions, leatherbacks have just not made it back to that beach in large numbers in a long time, but they still protect the species as much as they can to give them a safe place to nest their eggs. And so if you go to Playa Grande and you look down the long coastline, like Laura just mentioned, you can barely see any construction. It's mostly green and foliage, and the beach is usually very quiet. It's a long beach. The large population of people that you'll see there are just the surfers, because it's also a world-class surf break. And so it's a great place for families to go, park lovers, super safe. And it's nestled right between the two most popular cities nearby, Playa Flamingo and Tamarindo, which are known for a little bit more two different styles of tourism. Tamarindo is more of the backpacker, a little bit more youthful vibe and the shopping, and Flamingo is a little bit more of the expat friendly fishermen, and a lot of big Canadian population there.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, a little bit about the accommodations. There are like really gorgeous boutique hotels in Playa Grande that we utilize. One of two different properties that you know have pools and lovely kind of lush surrounds, and also great restaurants attached. So you know, there's just enough of all that kind of stuff going on in Playa Grande as well, thankfully. So I'm going to keep moving a little quicker. Obviously, I mentioned there's also the beach getaway, which we solely focus in Playa Grande. The aerial photo here, you can kind of see that Playa Grande is actually this beach here, and it continues quite a bit beyond the photograph. And then that first point on the other side of that is something called Playa Ventanas, and that is another obviously gorgeous C-shaped beach that's virtually, you know, untouched and not developed. And then up and over that hill, there's a black sand beach as well that you can walk to called Playa Carbon. So really incredible coastline all throughout the area. And then the surf and yoga retreat is, you know, a great experience for ladies that kind of ready to go adventure, and you know, our friends Margie and Coco and Chelsea are the leaders of that retreat, and we created a great experience for ladies connecting. So a little bit about our community partner real quick. I just wanted to mention Sepia in Guanacaste. So even though Costa Rica is a paradise on earth, there are issues that need to be faced. There's poverty and families, you know, that are struggling, of course, and just like I guess anywhere, but you know, there is definitely because Guanacaste is quite a rural area. There is, I think it's the second poorest province in Costa Rica. So Sepia does really great work engaging, both, you know, focusing on engaging with the kids and adolescents in the area, and you know, also their parents, to support them with education and arts and sports activities, counseling, medical, and just you know, lots of great ways that they engage. They're active in 18 communities throughout Guanacaste, and just a really great organization that we love to support. So moving on to another very important topic, the food.
My favorite.
We'll start us off, Marco. What's the food like in Costa Rica?
Well, before this meeting, I had a big plate of arroz con pollo. That's probably my favorite Costa Rican lunch dish. That's rice with chicken cooked with vegetables and a side of black beans, a salad, and French fries. So that's what I had for lunch today. And I mean, Costa Rica is known for their most popular breakfast dish is the gallo pinto, or the painted chicken, is what it's called, but it's just rice cooked in beans, or I guess is it beans cooked in rice or rice cooked in beans? But
it's delicious,
right? And it's usually served with eggs, fried plantains, and maybe some toast as well. And that's a popular Costa Rican dish. There's no shortage of Costa Rican restaurants that serve those meals. They are commonly referred to as sodas. So if you're in Costa Rica, and you see a bunch of soda signs, it's not that they're offering Coca-Cola, it's that those are mom and pop restaurants offering typical Costa Rican food.
Yeah, good point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I can go on for days. You tell me when you want me to stop. Ceviches. I mean that's a popular lunch option. If you love fish, we'll eat ceviches, patacones, fried plantains. Love it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Then there's lots and lots of tropical fruits and a lot of veggies. I personally do not eat fish or meat, but
true.
I have no issues to find anything to eat here. There's so many tropical fruits, papaya, bananas, pineapple, coconuts, and then like just fruits what I never ate before, and now I eat them every day. I
Yeah.
just go to they sell fruits everywhere on the street and the supermarkets, and you can just go and pick whatever looks great.
Lots of seasonal specialties, you know,
Yes.
every month.
Mangoes.
Absolutely.
You can pick the mangoes from the
my
tree.
Property, exactly. Within walking distance, I mean, and my property, we have papaya, we have coconut, we have my lime tree, we have dragon fruit, we have all that stuff just walking distance, and a mango tree. So
Yes.
I mean, all of that is I can pick straight from the source.
Amen. Yeah. And there's also, as I kind of alluded to before, a lot of like gourmet and global influence in Costa Rica these days. So, you know, beyond just the sort of typical Costa Rican foods, you've got lots of seafood. There's a sushi place in Playa Grande. There's Italian and French and German and all kinds of influence that you know, is great to kind of tie together with the Costa Rican ingredients. So, real quick, just to kind of mention a few other destinations that we didn't go into in too much detail, but are definitely worth noting. So we did mention a little bit about Monte Verde and that region, which is like this sort of cloud forest region of Costa Rica. I know Osa Peninsula was brought up a couple times, which is a great destination for kind of wildlife and just a real sort of jungle, rugged vibe. The Nicoya Peninsula in its entirety is full of places that are wonderful, not just Playa Grande. Caribbean coast, we didn't talk much about. Marco, what are some of the places on the Caribbean coast?
Caribbean coast, I mean, it's beautiful. Puerto Viejo, Limon, you're going to get a little bit of more of the Afro-American or Afro-Central American vibe there. Just because that was the major port city in the early 1500s, and so it has converted to be kind of more of our Caribbean vibe in Costa Rica. Excellent food. There's beautiful coastlines over there as well. Beautiful. It's very different than the Gold Coast where we live, but it's beautiful in its own special way. I love it, and so I highly recommend people to go get. They have tons of flavor. Vibrant colors, the buildings and the homes and everything. It looks very special.
Yeah. And yeah, Manuel Antonio is a beautiful national park. It's very popular. San Jose, of course, the capital city, if you're more interested in kind of the urban side of Costa Rica, although I'm not sure why you would be in such a natural paradise, but San Jose is lots to offer on that aspect as well. So we're going to keep moving into some travel tips for anyone traveling to Costa Rica. So the seasons and weather in Costa Rica, you essentially have like a wet and a dry season in Costa Rica. And the wet season sort of starts in like May. It was kind of when the first rains come, but it's usually not too bad. You know, it's pretty light through May, June, July, you know, getting more rain into August. And then September and October are typically the wettest months. We call those that's the green season or the wet season, either way. But even though there's more rain, it's often an incredible time to visit just for lush greenery, and you know, often there'll be a little bit less tourists in that time of those months as well, so you can kind of get away from the crowds. And then the dry season typically begins, you know, sometime in November and through to May. And you know, in particular months, you know, there probably won't be any rain at all, especially in Guanacaste, which is the driest province of Costa Rica. But a little bit of those seasonalities do depend on the region. So, you know, definitely make sure that you're looking into the regional specific kind of weather when you go. And then also just in terms of seasons, there's a high and a low season for tourism. So the busiest months to visit Costa Rica tend to be, you know, kind of starting from the holidays and Christmas into like January and February, bleeding into March a little bit. And then in April, there's also a week-long sort of, you know, festivity. Well, in April or March, I guess.
Holy Week.
Semana Santa.
Semana Santa, yes. So if you're planning to go to Costa Rica, do be mindful that week of Easter is a very busy
Yes.
for Costa Ricans to vacation and go to the beach and do all those things. So, you know, it will be lots of crowds, and, you know, places might book up and it might be more expensive. So that's something to keep in mind. Things to pack. Leova, you want to chat a bit about that?
Yeah, so in general, it is really warm. Even if it is raining in rainy season, it is still very warm. So you really only need to maybe bring one pair of long pants and one sweater and one light rain jacket. But besides that, you're really good with shorts and t-shirts and swimwear. You won't really need much more. Sunscreen is always really important. The sun is very, very strong here. Mosquito repellent, you might bring it, but you can buy it everywhere. And I think that's it. Like, you can really pack incredible light to come to Costa Rica. You don't need much. Even if you go to the mountains, as I said, you should have like one pair of long pants and sleeve, because it can get chilly in the mountains.
Yeah,
especially
and
at night.
For hiking too, just to, you know, protect from bugs.
Yeah. But yeah, you don't really need much. Do you want to add anything, Marco?
As far as bringing stuff to Costa Rica, yeah, rain jacket, you know, something that people don't commonly bring. I sometimes recommend people bring a headlamp. You never know. Like, for example,
yes.
we live in this national park area where there isn't a lot of street lights. So bringing a headlamp is a pretty good idea. Everyone uses their smartphones, but sometimes you don't want to be walking around with your phone out, or you just want to leave it at home. So yeah, bring a headlamp, good shoes. And yeah, just clothes. If you're coming during a rainier month, just to be prepared for that. But for the most part, you don't need much where we are, because it's sunny most days, and, you know, beach gear is the most popular gear. But yeah, I would say, you know, another thing is a fanny pack, or somewhere where you can keep your belongings. Something like that would be something I'd recommend to people as well.
I'm just going to quickly kind of jump through a few more of these things. So Costa Rica has colones as the local currency, but also US dollars are accepted in a lot of places. So ATMs are available pretty commonly, though, you know, places like Playa Grande, for example, there is no ATM. So, you know, you want to keep in mind, you know, making sure you carry some cash with you. Tipping in Costa Rica, there's often a 10% tip included in your restaurant bills, and then anything on top of that is, you know, appreciated but not required. And transportation in Costa Rica, the bus system isn't the greatest. So if you are planning to move around quite a bit, renting a car or looking into private shuttles might be an option, although private shuttles can be expensive. So renting a car is a great option if you're adventurous enough to do that. Make sure you get full insurance, because things happen and the roads are not always very smooth in Costa Rica. So 4x4 is also helpful. As we mentioned before, Costa Rica is a very safe place to travel. Just common sense practices like you would, you know, do anywhere are recommended. Wi-Fi is very ubiquitous, you know, found quite commonly in Costa Rica. Electricity is, outlets are the same as US outlets. So, you know, you only need an adapter if you're coming from a non-US country. And the drinking water in Costa Rica is also very safe to drink, although some tourists choose.
You can drink the tap water, which is amazing.
Correct.
Yeah, absolutely. And just also it's something, you know, with Wi-Fi and electricity, do keep in mind, you know, it's a developing country, power outages happen, you know, roll with the punches a bit, and, you know, don't get too in a twist if your AC goes out for a little bit. Usually they don't last long.
Just to add, just to add on the safety as well, because I saw a message there, Laura, and like the crime, it is very safe. The crime rate, pickpockets, it's not common at all. You know, petty theft might happen at a rental property from time to time, but you know, that's usually, I always say, due to people that aren't being cognizant of where they're putting their belongings, or they're putting them in open areas, visible areas, that kind of stuff. And I think you're more likely to get taken by a transit cop for a violation if you're a visitor over a pickpocket. So if you're getting pulled over in Costa Rica, always make sure you have your travel documents with you, or a photocopy of your passport and your entry and exit stamps, so that you can not let anybody take advantage of the fact that you didn't know you were supposed to have your documentation on you.
Right. Good stuff. So I know we're kind of going a little bit long. I just wanted to open it up, find links to all your questions that maybe you haven't had a chance yet to write in the chat box. So feel free to type up now, either in the chat, or you can even unmute yourself if you want to ask us a question about anything we haven't covered yet.
Hi, this is Brenda Foley speaking, and I wanted to ask you, do you know of a Spanish language immersion groups in Costa Rica? I was thinking about this summer, possibly.
Okay.
Yes.
Lioba?
Yes, there are many. Pretty much every beach town has its own Spanish school that you can join. I know there is one in Tamarindo. I think it's called Education First, right, Marco?
Yeah, there's EduFirst. Yeah, and there's also it starts with a W. WAM. Let me remember the name. But there's also CPI, Coastal Spanish Institute in Tamarindo and Flamingo.
And then there is one in Samara. I just don't know what it's called, but there are really so many. I heard good things about Education First, but that's just because I live in the area, so I run into people frequently who go there. So I heard good things about that. I don't know about others. I never heard any negative things about any of those. So I think if you just Google it, you will probably find a lot. It's very, very common.
The other one was WEIRA. That's what it was called. WEIRA Spanish Institute.
WEIRA. Okay, thank you. That's helpful. And how do you spell WEIRA?
It's WAYRA.
And do they have like Spanish-speaking families that you stay with?
I know that WEIRA does have placement opportunities. So yeah, there's some of these, not all of them, will have an option so that while you're studying at their institute, that you can be placed with a local family. Okay.
And do you think it will be open this summer?
That's a great question. I hope so. As far as the travel advisory goes, they say maybe end of July now. So I think it's best to assume maybe a fall. I'm not trying to write off the summer completely, but I would say it'd be best to try and get something in the fall.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds smart.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions?
Hi, my name is Pauline Gann. I'm from London. Thank you for an interesting presentation on Costa Rica. My question is, if I was to travel during the winter time between December and March, probably February, March time, and I have 1 or 2 weeks of holiday, which area would you recommend? Maybe like top 3 or top 5 must-see places, like diving and hot spring, like the Ariel National Park hot spring you mentioned.
That's a tricky one for sure. It's hard to
diving.
say. But for those particular activities, for hot springs and diving, I think we can speak to that.
I think, like the routing that you provided, Laura, I think is the ideal routing for the average traveler. The most popular places that people go to are if you're flying into San Jose, would be to spend a night or two there, and maybe go to Arenal a few nights, and then go to a beach either in Guanacaste, where we are, or some people will choose to go to Manuel Antonio or Jaco area. And so they kind of make a triangle there with those destinations. So those are going to be your most common 7 to 10 day, pushing it out to 14-day vacations. You can probably add a 4th or like a 5th quick stop, but usually it's like 3 main locations, and then you can kind of maybe explore close to those main spots.
Yeah, and
so
for hot springs, you just make sure you're near the volcanoes, so you're in the mountainous sort of central areas, not towards the coast for hot springs.
Okay. For diving, what about Cabo Blanco, Paquera, and Quipo?
Quepos.
Quepos.
Yeah, you're talking a more central coast, Quepos, Manuel Antonio area. There is diving out there. It's beautiful. Like I said earlier, if you're going out to Isla Coco, that's way further out, but usually they leave from those destinations or a little bit further south. So you can.
I probably won't
avoid
have time to go to Coco Island.
Yeah, no, that'd be too much. But you can go out from Quepos, and Quepos provides tours daily. And Paquera, I think you said Paquera. That's really close to Quepos.
And karate.
That is, there's a few karates. There's one that is on the Osa Peninsula, and I've been there. Up to my knowledge, there's no diving there. That is close to the Corcovado National Park. It is.
There is, maybe it's just not known for diving. I mean, there's diving in a lot of places where there isn't really anything spectacular about it.
Yeah. It is absolutely beautiful. I do not know anything about diving in the area, though.
Yeah, on land it's gorgeous.
Near Sirena area.
What was that?
Playa near Sirena, Playa Sirena, where there's whale watching and turtles.
Marina Ballena.
Yes, the whale's tail.
Yeah,
Oh,
Whale's Town, beautiful place. I was just there 3 weeks ago. It was beautiful.
And it is really close to Quepos.
It's about 45 minutes away from Quepos.
Yeah, that's a beautiful part of the coast. The reason it's called Whale's Tail is because when you view it from above, from an aerial perspective, the coastline actually kind of creates the shape of a whale's tail. So it's really
and
cool.
it's also a whale mating ground, so it's kind of ironic.
What's the town called? The whale mating ground?
It would be Marina Ballena, Ballena. That's Ballena. That's whale in Spanish. So that's also where the Marina Ballena. That's a national park.
The town is called Ovita, though. That's used.
Yes, it's by the town of Ovita.
Yeah.
Can you type it in?
I will type it in.
If you have any other questions, things that we haven't covered, feel free to contact me and send me a message. I'm just going to kind of try and wrap things up because we're going a little long now. So
I tried to look you up on Internations, but I couldn't find your names. So
yeah, it's funny. I tried to join Internations and they declined my memberships. I'm currently trying to sort that out with them, but I'll give you lots of other ways that you can connect with us. Just real quick, some discounts on our trips that if you join the event, you're eligible to partake in. So we also have discounts on some of our other trips this fall: Ireland, Iceland, Morocco, if any of those destinations appeal. So, and like I think I mentioned, we have upcoming events. So every week, or 3 to 4 times a month, we're hosting online events these days. Next week, Tuesday, we have a travel insurance themed event. So we have an industry expert from the travel insurance sphere who's going to come in and answer all your questions about travel insurance, because I know that's a big topic in light of what's going on currently. We have a yoga class that we're offering, and an event kind of like this, but with Croatia as the focus. And then we're going to keep doing this throughout the upcoming months. So the ways that you can find out about these events are on Facebook, Instagram. We post the recordings on YouTube. We're on Meetup in 19 different cities throughout North America. So the meetup groups you can find on our website. We also have a blog on our website that's got lots of travel tips and a few coming up to be published about all the best beaches in Costa Rica, breakdown of all the wildlife in Costa Rica, and some other interesting cool facts about Costa Rica. So those are all coming up on the blog soon. Obviously, the website is traversejourneys.com. You can contact us. Email hello@traversejourneys.com, or me personally is Laura@traversejourneys.com, LAURA. So feel free to shoot me any questions that we haven't had a chance to go over. And I think that's the end. Sorry for going a little long, but thank you for everyone who stuck with us. Thank you to Leo and Marco for joining from Costa Rica. Thanks everyone for coming along and hearing all about this incredible paradise on earth that we all love, Costa Rica. So feel free to jump out or
Come see us soon, pura vida.
Yes, come visit us.
hope to see you at another online event and maybe eventually on a trip sometime soon.